Hello and welcome to Hyperplay. The wonderful Anbernic RG476H is, as we know, a superb endgame 4x3 device, perfectly suited to playing those 4x3 games all the way up to and including a lot of PS2 and GameCube. But we want to push it as far as we can go and show you some Switch and GameCube. But first, I wanted to show off this grip that we got from AliExpress. Now, buying from any grips from anywhere really can be a bit hit or miss. You don't know how your device is going to fit into it. But my goodness me, the RG476H fits into this snug, beautiful grip. An absolute treat. This is the navy blue colour. It comes in various different colours. Now, we did say in our original review of the RG476H that it's a fantastically ergonomic device, and you can just curl your pinkies underneath the device and play it without needing a grip. But we have been playing a lot of GameHub and Switch on this Badger, and so eventually we did get hand fatigue, and we realised it's because the weight isn't spread out as much as it is on a lot of other horizontal devices. Being a 4x3 device, a lot of the weight is concentrated in the middle. So we got this grip off AliExpress. We'll leave a link in the description. It comes with felt inner lining. It's made of PLA, which is less toxic plastic. It's really nice. It's not particularly cheap. I think it'll be, after coupons, about £11 delivered, but worth every penny if you're going to be playing a lot on your RG476H. Anyway, enough about the grip. Let's get to what we're here for. And we have Switch emulation with 13 Sentinels here. This is running through the Eden optimized app. So it's the optimized version of Eden 0.0.4 release candidate 3, and going pretty nicely. Now, this is going to be one of the harder games on the showcase to emulate. We've gone in strong here with 13 Sentinels, but it's a story-based RPG, and so it doesn't matter too much if the frames dip down occasionally, but we're getting up to about 30 FPS. In terms of resolution, on the RG476H, on the Eden app, you can go for 0.75 in handheld mode, but you can also go for 0.5 in docked mode, because this screen will very nicely support 540p. So not a huge amount of difference between them. So if you're struggling to get good performance on 0.75 handheld, yeah, drop it down. Go for 0.5 on docked mode. And you never know, it might work wonders. Absolutely beautiful 13 Sentinels here. Now, of course, Switch and GameHub games that we're going to be showing are traditionally 16:9 aspect ratio. And we have stretched the screen to fill the 4x3 4.7-inch display here. And some games suit that, and we think 13 Sentinels is one of them. I think it actually benefits in some ways from looking slightly stretched, those character portraits. Get to see more of them, and nice and long-legged they are too. This one's lost her clothes and is in the mech and about to fire up some baddies, but we will see slowdowns coming up now. And that is going to happen, I'm afraid. The RG476H, with its Dimensity T820, isn't exactly optimized for Switch games, but we've worked every single parameter we can to get them going. When you fire on the baddies, the frames will drop a lot and down into single figures, but they bounce back. And so there might be a tiny bit of slowdown, but if this is your only way of playing 13 Sentinels, you can do a lot worse than this on this glorious 4.7-inch screen. And there's kind of telly effect often in these scenes on 13 Sentinels, sort of blurring around the edges of the screen, that makes it look absolutely perfect for this 4x3 4.7-inch screen. And you can see a bit of it there, a bit of the black edges and so on. There's the big slowdowns, but the game doesn't crash and it will bounce back. Should also say that for our settings, we are using mailbox mode for VSync. That's very important for Mali GPU devices. No special drivers, unfortunately. You're going to have to go with the system driver, but it does a very good job, we have found, for these Switch games. Not a problem. Okay, so 13 Sentinels, we would say, just about playable on your RG476H, as long as you run it with the settings we suggested. On to our next game in our Switch and GameHub showcase on the RG476H. Yes, it's our old friend Am Setsuna. A lovely snowy RPG for winter. These are our settings. We have got the update added on there, and you will see that for this one we are indeed playing it in handheld mode at 0.75 resolution. These are the other settings. FSR sharpness there at 25%. You don't need it to be that high. If you're struggling with frames per second, then drop that down to 5%, we would say. Doesn't make a huge difference, and you may get a nice little small FPS bonus if you're not running FSR resolution enhancement. So yeah, I Am Setsuna, and this is a game which I really think does actually benefit from being stretched to that 4:3 aspect ratio, because I always found the character model somewhat squat, and you can get a 60 FPS patch for Setsuna, and that is worth it for the higher end systems. But for our purposes, we're going to truck along very happily with frame rates resolutely between 30 and 40 frames per second. Don't believe it drops below 30 during this entire little playthrough. Great to see that those snowy trees are not glitching, as they have done on more powerful devices we have found when we have emulated this game on, for instance, the Retroid Pocket 5. Got terrible glitches of bright lights flickering off those snowy trees. It's a tricky background to render, but not a problem here on the RG476H, and yeah, I think it looks absolutely splendid, better than ever, being slightly stretched. What I should say, if you're not happy going from 16:9 games all the way up to 4:3, you can also in Eden choose 16:10, and that will nearly take up the whole of the panel. That's the fabled Steam Deck ratio, and then that's much less stretching, but also will fill up more of the screen. So a happy halfway house for those of you who don't have to have pixel perfection, but do want to fill up your screen a little bit more. Yeah, so Setsuna trucking along very happily between 30 and 40 frames per second, handheld mode, 0.75 resolution. Not a problem, let's move on. And for our next trick, we got another lovely indie RPG, JRPG style game, Rise of the Third Power. This was Stegosoft Studios' follow-up to Arafel, another well-received indie JRPG that we won't cover here, but you can rest assured it'll play very nicely indeed. And we're going to get some stunning frame rates here. The only question is, with Rise of the Third Power, do you want to stretch that screen? Because if you do, that moon is going to look more egg-shaped than an oblate spheroid, for instance. Yeah, we actually think that this game is sort of angular enough that buildings look a little bit too stretched on this intro, as you will see, at 4:3. So you might want to go for that happy halfway house, the 16:10. But you have it your way. It looks absolutely great on this screen. Not the best scene to show you, to be honest. A little bit dark and rainy. Reminds us of foggy London town here, to be honest. At night. Quick squiz on the settings, and here we go. Yep, as you can see, I'm going to default back to 16:9 because I wasn't overly happy. And yeah, we can push up the accuracy level a bit higher too. Why not, with all these frames to play with? And you're still going to get a screen that's just a smidge under, or a hair under, as Uncle Zoo likes to say, a hair away from 4.5 inches, even when you are letterboxed in at 16:9. So whichever way you want to play it, fantastic game on a fantastic system. Let's truck along now to the battle and just check that the game doesn't crash there, because the first battle in Rise of the Third Power can be a mite tricky to emulate. And here we are in the thick of combat, and yes, still got frames well above 30 frames per second, I believe. All very nice. So yeah, do check out Rise of the Third Power on your RG476H if you like. Moving along now. And it's time for a bit of GameHub, don't you think? Now, both the games we're going to show you on GameHub could be run through the Switch emulator, but if you have a choice, then always choose GameHub. We would say you will get better performance through the GameHub app than Eden by and large. Chances are the PC version of your game will also give you better in-game options for changing your display output to better suit your criteria. First thing to note here, safe flags at 2. That's if the game doesn't load first time, definitely get safe flags at 2 on. If the game crashes, strong mem at 1 and weak barrier at 1 to balance the performance out. Otherwise, 544p, no great shakes. Proton 9, legendary DXVK 1.10.3 async, box 37, B1, and away you go. Now, is this Chained Echoes a game that we would suggest stretching to the full width of the screen? Not this one. Am Setsuna and 13 Sentinels, I think you can definitely get away with it on the Eden emulator, but here, I would very much say that Chained Echoes is one that does need to be played in 16 by 9. And when the games load up, you will also have the benefit of using that side panel for GameHub, where you can bang on Native Rendering Plus and HDR and Super Resolution, and that'll make the games look fabulous. At first, when we loaded up Chained Echoes, it looked a little bit washed out. We know this panel can do better, but those extra sidebar options really do make the colours pop on your GameHub games on the RG476H. The one disadvantage of GameHub is it takes ages for the games to load, particularly the first time, but do be patient. Another unusual wrinkle here was that the title screen wasn't quite right. You can see on the right of the screen there a bit of a funny artifact, but this is how Chained Echoes runs on GameHub on the RG476H, or to be more precise, the new DLC Ashes of Elrond. All very nice, and we do very much suggest that 16 by 9. These are our settings in the sidebar. And we've got Super Resolution up a bit too high, you never need it more than 3. And we've got HDR on to get those colours popping much better, and Native Rendering Plus to make sure the full scope of the RG476H's power is utilised. Oh, talking of power, you can also put power correction on further down. Now that will deplete your battery a bit quicker, but can get you better FPS. So yeah, another game running absolutely fine, gloriously, over 50 frames per second, Chained Echoes, and its DLC Ashes of Elrond on the RG476H via GameHub. Give it a whirl. And I should say that these GameHub games are not from Steam Library, they are on our SD card actually, because you can point GameHub towards the files on your SD card. Were we to put them on the internal storage, then the games might run even quicker, so bear that in mind. If you can fit your PC game folder onto your internal storage and then point GameHub in that direction, then do so. It will read the games much better and performance will be much more smooth. Right, here we go, the tape measure, just to prove the point. What did we say? A hair under 4.5 inches? Yeah, come on, Hyperplay man, get a grip. There we go, yep. From the black corner to the other black corner, just under 4.5 inches. Still great, especially for these kinds of small RPGs, although you might find the text a little bit tricky to read. We thought it was absolutely fine. So there we go, Chained Echoes on your RG476H. Now, whenever there's Chained Echoes, there has to be Sea of Stars. And again, your mileage may vary, but we can bear the thought of that glorious moon being oblong, and we've got something against oblong-shaped moons, obviously. So resolutely 16 by 9, but I have to say the colour palette of this game, allied to the indigo version of the RG476H, well, other people call it chef's kiss, but I don't particularly like that phrase. I'm going to say it's beyond glorious, because it suits it down to the ground. Sea of Stars and the RG476H is a marriage made in heaven. And again, of course, you could try to play Sea of Stars via Eden as a Switch game, but we like it on GameHub and we like these frame rates. Always over 30 frames per second, except when loading sometimes. Very, very happy indeed with Sea of Stars on the RG476H, so feel free to check this one out. Looks absolutely stunning on this indigo model. I am sure you will agree. Many thanks for watching our Switch and GameHub showcase on the RG476H. Please do like this video, it would really help us, and please do subscribe for loads more quality content coming soon. Happy handheld gaming. Bye bye.